This is Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars with Trevor Long and Stephen Fennick. Thanks to NRMA Insurance and Uniden.
That's right, NRMA Insurance helping Australians protect what matters most for 100 years. Also one of Australia's largest insurers of electric vehicles. And Uniden, smart dashcams, trying to keep you aware of what's happening on the road around you so that you've got peace of mind. What happened? Trust me, wife. It was not my fault.
Not my fault. Trust me, insurance company. Here's the video.
Yeah, exactly. So it's good peace of mind. Big show today. We're going to talk to the Electric Vehicle Council of Australia about their brand new State of EVs report. It's not just this one page, folks.
Yes.
This is just the highlights page. It's 113 pages of thorough information about EVs. So we're going to talk to Aman from the Electric Vehicle Council shortly and dig deep into that report. So stay tuned for that. But before we do that, we should talk about what we've been driving, Stephen.
Yes.
And we both picked up two of the same car brand but different models.
Yes.
The IM by MG Motor.
Yes.
And I got the IM5.
I got the IM6. I got mine's the SUV shape.
Yep, mine's the sedan. So let's just put the rubber to the road here. Model 3 competitor, Model Y competitor. Really?
Correct, yeah.
The IM5 sedan in the premium base model is about $60,000, so 62 drive away. And the performance top end model about 81,000 drive away in New South Wales. Mine was in a Nevis blue, not a bad colour.
Yep. Mine was sort of the beige. What's the beigey colour called?
If it's the same as Raphael beige.
That's what it was.
Raphael beige.
Yeah.
Here's the interesting thing. And we've had this with a lot of these, especially the Chinese cars, because you know the ADAS is going to be annoying, right?
Yes.
Much love to the people at MG Motor for the way they've designed the screen system in the IM5 and 6. So you've got a beautiful big screen across both the driver info dash and infotainment, and then there's a third screen down where you might normally have, knobs and dials for things. And that third screen is more a control surface as opposed to infotainment. And mate, there's an ADAS button on that.
Yeah.
So you get in the car, you've got to go, I agree to the world first. And then you go ADAS, turn off, turn off,
Speed
turn off.
limit warning.
Okay,
off.
Agree. It's like, so it's a few touches of the button.
But every time you get in the car. It happens every time.
But it's there.
Yeah.
It's not dug in the menus.
Yeah, you can easily access it. We both worked that out pretty quick. I think that's for a lot of the cars that are really overly, with the safety features, really overindulging.
I'll be honest with you, I don't even know how overindulgent it was because I turned it off. It was so easy to find to turn off. I turned it off straight away.
Oh no, the first time I got in it, I didn't turn it off. So I drove home with all the bells and everything turned on, and it got a little bit annoying quick.
Yeah. Right.
The lane keep was pretty aggressive as well, but that was the only real negative of the first experience there, the first impression.
It's an interesting thing, IM, because it's a new brand, but they are putting the MG Motor label on the back of it, which is very smart.
Do they need to do that, you reckon?
Yes, because honestly, I think it's a stupid idea to introduce a brand new brand when we're only at the start of this. You've got a brand. Well, MG is doing so well with both petrol and electric cars. Why didn't they just call this the MG7?
Well, did we discuss this earlier? Did they want to have like a Toyota Lexus kind of approach here?
But you're not Toyota. You're bloody MG.
Yeah.
Stop being arrogant.
I think I got stopped. There was a guy outside your office here. Remember the day he goes, "What is that car?" And I said, "Well, it's an MG." He goes, "No, it isn't." I said, "Look, it says it, MG Motor on the car." Because the main badge said IM with the fancy design of the logo.
Yeah. See, your car doesn't read like IM. Their logo doesn't read as IM.
You need to know what you're looking at.
It says presented by MG Motor.
Yeah.
Which is like Toyota saying, this is a Lexus presented by Toyota, but they never said that.
Yeah.
It was just a new brand.
It stood alone.
I just think it smacks of arrogance to say we're so good that we can introduce a premium brand when they should have just. So Kia, for example, the Kia Carnival at $64,000 5-6 years ago was the most expensive Kia you could buy.
Yeah.
But today you can buy a $120,000 EV9 and $80,000 EV. They didn't go, let's just keep selling. They just went, it's a friggin' Kia.
That's fair. That's fair enough.
And I think that they would win more popularity if they win. It's an MG, but a beautifully premium top-end MG. It's the 7 or the 8 or the 9 or whatever.
Maybe is that the case, though, that they wanted to have that separation between their affordable EV sort of working class sort of vehicle and this sort of more luxurious, because it is really nice.
It's a very
beautiful car inside, really nice seats and
interior and exterior doesn't look like an MG.
No, not at all. I was saying to my wife, who loved the car, she said, "This is beautiful." I said, "If you put a Mercedes badge on that wheel, this is a $120,000 car with a Mercedes badge on it."
Mate, it's a beautiful interior.
Yeah.
I'll give them that.
Really nice.
It's a lovely drive. It's not the best drive I've ever had, but it's a good drive.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it in my top 10 drive.
Did I have the dual? It was my dual motor.
Don't know.
Yeah, no, it actually had performance. Not
went
bad
like
performance
the Focus,
either.
So it went very well.
Yep.
Here's the stupid thing. The boot, this wouldn't apply to the MG IM6, but the IM5, mate, the boot's tiny.
Tiny, yeah.
Tiny. So I went overseas. Stig and I, two suitcases, wouldn't shut, laid flat, because the wheels on the one at the back were so close to the top, it just wouldn't shut. So a couple of times I just push it down. You know, those times where it detects it and goes, "No, I can't shut now."
Yeah.
So you just push the bloody thing down and it goes.
Well, I actually took Aaron to the airport, him and his fiancée, and we had opened up the back of the IM6 and plenty of room in there. Didn't have to drop a seat. They had two massive suitcases, fit in the back quite easily. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think for the price, at an entry level, $61,000 for the sedan is, pretty competitive. It's Tesla money, right?
Yeah. And up to 670 kilometres range. That's NEDC range. And the IM6 goes 0 to 100 in 3.4 seconds.
What's the WLTP range?
I can't see.
Because that's what really matters.
Yeah. But look, I remember seeing on the dash it
WLTP is 490 on the
so
premium.
fully charged and ready to go. Yeah, it was about 490 something on what I saw, because I had it on kilometres, not percentage.
Yeah,
I don't think you can even have it on percentage.
Well, that's the thing where you sometimes can't even work out whether you are.
I prefer. What do you prefer? To see a percentage or to see actual kilometres?
I prefer they should both be there.
I prefer both. Yeah,
they should both be there.
Yeah, I agree.
Like in the Kia that I drive, it's got a big number of the kilometres, and then somewhere there's a percentage.
Yeah. One little quirky thing, and made me laugh every time I got in the car. Whenever I put my phone on the wireless charger, it thought I was trying to buy something, and my credit card always keeps to come up. Did you do that too?
No, I didn't.
I'm thinking, is it charging me every time? Am I paying money every time I drive the car?
But again, here's my other quirky annoyance. It's over-engineered. You approach the car, the handles come out with these friggin' electric door handles.
Yeah.
And the worst part is, I'm used to that now, but the worst part is they're not mechanical door handles.
Yeah.
So there's actually a sensor on the inside of the handle. When you touch it, it clicks the door partly open, and then you pull the door.
So it's not mechanical.
It's not actually a mechanical.
That's just there for show.
Lever.
Yes, right. You're right. Yeah.
It may as well just be
I thought I misopened it. Yeah, I'm thinking, oh, hang on. Well, speaking of buttons, there's a button to get out as well.
Annoying.
And that just bamboozled my mother. I'm thinking, how do I get out? I said, I see that button over there. It was a tiny button.
Yeah.
She goes, oh, there it is.
I said to Stig and the kids, I'm like, it's where your thumb would be if you so you kind of get it there. But this, in terms of comparing it to the Model 3, which is where they have to be, this is $6,000 more than the base model Model 3.
Yeah, but you know
that
what?
Doesn't make sense.
Compared to the Model 3, as we all know,
smaller. I think the Model 3 would be smaller.
Yeah, it's also quite Spartan inside. Like, there's not half the features and the screens and all that inside the car. This looks like, while it's an electric car, it looks still like a normal car when you get in.
Yeah.
The screens there being there as well. And I got to say, I was very impressed with the size of the car. Like, I'm a big guy. I fit in this really nice. It was quite comfortable to drive, and plenty of room in the back as well. I had passengers quite often when I had the car. So it was, space-wise, I think big tick. Comfort, another big tick.
Yeah. Mate, great cars. I just, personally, I think it's a challenge for them at this price point.
Yeah.
There's like Zeekr, Polestar, Kia. There's a lot of cars in this price point, and I think
you're right.
I think you should. If I'm MG, I'm just staying in my lane. I'm just selling quantity and quantity.
No pun intended.
Absolutely. In my lane. I just feel like.
So is that why you're saying they should have stuck to the branding?
Stuck to the branding,
so you know that
it's an MG.
Right.
I feel this is.
I know. My gut's saying that they did this deliberately because the perception of MG now is sort of these affordable, EVs and
maybe
really price competitive.
And
this
maybe
is sort
they
of more,
know that they're not trying to sell to the mass public; they're trying to sell to the MG owner. They're trying to sell them up, like Toyota did.
Perhaps,
Toyota didn't want people to go to a BMW when they earned more money.
Yeah.
They wanted to stay in the family.
I've got to say, though, I got a lot of compliments with the car. People who saw the car, they go, oh, that's really nice. They really liked it.
Yeah, I don't talk to people, so I wouldn't know.
No, I remember parking it whenever I was at, up at Westfields or wherever I was going. Even my neighbour came out and said, "Oh, mate, what do you got this for?"
Your neighbour's your mother-in-law. What are you talking about?
my other neighbours, they see all the different cars I have, and this one in particular caught their eye. I said, "Oh, that's really nice. What is that?"
Our neighbours see all the cars. And when I first moved into my neighbourhood, there was a lot of questions in the Facebook group.
They think Trevor's a drug dealer. He's got that many cars.
Anyway, great cars, well worth a look. IM by MG is the best way to find them if you Google them, but IM is the brand. Doesn't look like it on the logo.
IM5 and IM6 is what we had. Yeah.
You act feel like you're 6, but IM5. There's a joke there somewhere. I don't know.
IM6. Yeah, I get you.
I am Sam. I am. Yeah, anyway.
It says I'm 6. I'm 5. I'm 6.
Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars. We'd love to hear from you. 0477 657 657. After this, we'll talk the State of EVs with the Australian Electric Vehicle Council. There he is, Stephen Fennick on the drums. Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars. Thanks to the great people at NRMA Insurance and Uniden Smart Dashcams. It is a very important time of year. The EV Council of Australia have put together an overwhelmingly complex report into the state of EVs. And I mean that in the most generous possible way, Stephen. It's
a very comprehensive report, all 113 pages of it.
Absolutely.
So it's amazing weekend reading.
Yeah, that's right. And a lot of good stats and facts information. So we thought we'd have a chat to them. Aman Gaur from the EV Council, the head of legal policy, joins us on the line. G'day, Aman. How are you doing?
Thanks so much, boys. Lovely to be here.
Mate, really, really appreciate it. So let's just talk headlines first. What do we know year on year about the EV market in Australia?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me on. I think the value of the State of EVs is that we have a really exciting industry in Australia, but there's a lot of misinformation and there isn't really one source of truth.
Yeah, true.
The value of the State of EVs in its 9th year is that it gives people in Australia across the industry, but government, the great population of Australia as well, a place to go and get some really hard figures. So I'm pleased to give some information on that. Let me go into the hard facts. So first of all, in terms of total EVs sold, we've seen a 24% increase on EVs sold in the first 6 months of this year compared to the same period last year. So it's up to 72,800 sold in the first 6 months of this year. Secondly, in terms of market share, that's now up to 12% of all new vehicle sales being electric, and that's a 25% increase on the same figure last year, which was 9.6. That's a really great piece of news, I think, for everyone in this industry. The third thing I'd say is in terms of infrastructure, and we really know that that is so critical to giving people comfort in getting out in their EVs. The number of locations, so an actual site that has a piece of infrastructure, and the number of plugs, so the actual, thing that you would use to, have both gone up. So locations are now 1,300 almost, and plugs are almost 4,200. Both of those numbers have gone up by over 20%. Now, if you were to point me towards another industry in Australia that has had 20+% increase in just 1 year, I think we'd be talking about it much more positively than some sections of Australia's media choose to.
Yeah, that's true.
So I take it from that last comment that there's still a little bit of animosity, is it? Or just the myths in the market? People haven't fully, or not say drinking the Kool-Aid, but they're not really accepting all the benefits of the EV, what EVs offer. Is that what you're saying here?
I think it's a lack of constructivity from some observers. So a lot of people, I think, are not understanding where the industry is at the moment and the value of an EV, but are choosing to misrepresent the value of EVs and choosing to highlight aspects that are either overblown or not entirely accurate. So whether it's about charging infrastructure or the price of cars, they will often lean on the negative aspect rather than looking at it critically and constructively.
Can we just clarify, I guess, in terms of the definition for you guys of an EV? My understanding is that a hybrid car without plug-in is not classified by you as an EV, but a plug-in hybrid is included in your numbers. So the BYD Shark 6, for example, would have played a huge role in this year's numbers and growth, because that has been an absolute gangbuster for BYD, and plug-in hybrids form a really important part of the ecosystem.
You're right, Trevor. So our definition is that if it can be charged up with electricity with a plug, that's an EV. Now, the reason we take that approach is for two reasons. One is the International Energy Agency and other jurisdictions around the world, which is the right way to go on this, take that as the definition. Secondly, what we're seeing in the plug-in hybrid, subsector is that the technology is moving quite fast. A couple of years ago, plug-in hybrids could do 30, 40 kilometres, and now we're seeing options that can do up to 100 and perhaps soon more. So soon, potentially, who knows, that nature of distinction may fall apart altogether. This is a really exciting industry, and I think we're hearing that battery ranges themselves are potentially going to go northward as well in the next generation of technology. So yes, we do consider both plug-in hybrid electric vehicles and battery electric vehicles to be EVs, but we do not consider a petrol hybrid to be an EV.
These are very, very impressive numbers, Aman, and these are obviously just numbers for Australia. How do we compare to the rest of the world? Are we sort of at the same pace as other countries, say the US, or are we lagging behind?
Yeah, so the global average is roughly 25% of new vehicle sales being electric, and of course 12% this year means that we're about roughly half of that. The nature of the Australian market, you'll see in the report, is that we really didn't have an Australian market about 4 or 5 years ago, So in 2021, the percentage of new vehicle sales that were electric was a little under 4%. This year, it's 12%. We've seen a fourfold increase in just 4 years, and that's thanks to the government's really pivotal vehicle efficiency standards and the electric car discount. So we started slow, we started late, potentially because of a lack of effective mechanisms to encourage manufacturers to bring good product here, but we're catching up pretty quickly.
So, thinking of the growth, I mean, I'll come back to the plug-in hybrids for a second, but it's always been to me the best on-ramp to electric vehicles for people to even if they're skeptical about electric vehicles, because the plug-in hybrid allows you to have the benefits of the electric in full around town for most of your daily drives. But is there a worry though that we have too many plug-in hybrids and not enough people using them as electrics on their day-to-day because they just don't bother charging them?
Yeah, I think that's a really critical point, Trevor. I think we do need to be informing consumers. And I just want to make a small tangential point that we're asking the great majority of Australians to consider EVs, and it's a new form of technology for a lot of people. Yeah. So we do need to have an education and information piece about how to use an EV in a way that most benefits them in terms of finances and their local community, but also the national interest in electrifying transport. So your point about how do we inform people? Well, yes, when it comes to plug-in hybrid technology, we strongly recommend that people charge their car as often as they can to get that economic value, but that value in terms of carbon emissions and local air pollution. So I agree with you on that point. Yeah. Further example I had on this was quite a funny one where I play cricket in Melbourne sort of west, and one of my friends, his partner, bought a plug-in hybrid car. I won't mention the brand, but it's gone really well for her because she lives out in the country and she's often going back to visit family, and she felt confident enough to move into electric, knowing that she wanted to do something good for her hip pocket and for her community, but she wasn't sure if there'd be enough charges. Now, putting to one side, I think sometimes that view is misplaced. I think plug-in hybrid electric vehicles can act as an on-ramp for people who fall in that type of category. It's a complex one because we also need to then be alerting people to the fact that the vast majority of them only drive 30 to 40 kilometres a day, and they need to be buying cars that really suit their lifestyle and not some, advertised lifestyle of them driving across the Nullarbor.
In terms of the EV numbers are impressive for the sales. What do you put that down to? Is it the prices have come down for the cars? Is it the fact that there are a lot more chargers visible out there in the community? Is it the savings on their running costs? What's the driving factor, you reckon, that's bringing people to EVs?
Yeah, I think that point you mentioned about chargers being more visible, that's probably something we could do better at. And I think not so much for EV drivers, but for the general population. So if you had signs that were more visible in terms of where EV chargers were, that would address, I think, in some part, that charger anxiety that parts of the population might feel. You can't understand something or can't know something's there if you're not signaled to it, and that's something I think the industry and government should consider more. In terms of the nub of your question, I think one of the main factors has been the vehicle efficiency standards, getting manufacturers to bring their best product to Australia. So in the last report in 2024, we said there were 123 models of EVs available in Australia. That's now at 153. So we've gone past 50, and our report actually details every single one that's available and tells you its battery range, how quickly it can be charged. So it's a really great compendium if you just want to look at the different models and makes that are available. So I think the efficiency standards have been the linchpin. But obviously the electric car discount has helped a lot of Australians to step into an EV and effectively reduce their cost of transport when we've been in the middle of a inflation crunch that's been experienced by everyone.
You work specifically in the kind of legal and policy area of the EV Council. What is the situation currently with the new vehicle efficiency standards? Because it was controversial when it was announced and introduced. Some major car brands are still very anti-it, don't believe it's actually going to have an effect on emissions, let alone anything else. But clearly, it's doing something. Although a lot of the brands we look at in your table of sales are electric car brands, so they're not really too fussed about the efficiency standards, other than the fact they might be able to make some money. Is that right? Selling credits to the petrol-based companies.
Yeah, so factually, the efficiency standards started on the 1st of January this year, and then the period within which penalties will be analysed started on the 1st of July.
Right.
So there were 6 months of sort of a lead-in, and then from the 1st of July was the period that vehicle sales will be analysed before penalties actually start to be calculated, if you will, in 2028. So there's a bit of time while sales are ongoing that manufacturers we're seeing change their profiles of products available in Australia. A lot of products have suddenly started appearing in Australia that were only available in Europe or only available in America. And I think that's a really positive causation of the vehicle efficiency standards, that they've created a business model and a reason for manufacturers to bring their best electric stock here. In terms of the implementation of NVES, we're really excited for it. I think it's helping Australians get into good EVs. What will be critical is that next year there will be a review of NVES to see how it's going, and we'll obviously be deeply involved in that work alongside our members. And I would encourage all advocates and supporters of this industry and supporters of decarbonising our country and making it stronger to get behind and get involved in that consultation process with government and be speaking loudly about the benefits of implementing NVES. For those who are not aware, the way that NVES works is essentially if you bring in a certain number of cars, you measure the carbon dioxide intensity of that fleet that you've brought in, and year on year the mandated standard drops. So this year it's 141 grams of carbon dioxide per kilogram. That will continue dropping through to 2029. And if the cars that you're bringing to Australia are above that standard, then you may have to pay penalties. If you're beneath that, then obviously you will get credits that you can trade out. So it's a really good scheme, we think, for setting up long-term business models for these manufacturers who operate a really significant industry that needs long-term certainty.
And just to be clear on that fleet, when you mention it, if I'm a big company, I'm selling hundreds of thousands of cars a year, it's the total of each of those individual cars. It's not the fact that I've got 10 models and 5 of them are hybrid or plug-in. It's if I've got 5 petrol models that are selling 99% of my fleet, that's not going to work well for me. I've got to sell the efficient vehicles, don't I? Which is hopefully going to drive prices of the electric vehicles down because they've got to get them out. They can't just bring them into the country. They've got to get them out, don't they?
Exactly. So I think what we're seeing is an increased diversity of models. We're not just seeing one model come forth from a manufacturer. We're seeing, legacy manufacturers and new manufacturers bring out several different types that suit different types of lifestyles. So I'm really excited that this year we'll likely have an electric car in Australia that's selling in the 20s. We've already got electric cars that are selling in the 30s and 40s in terms of thousands of dollars.
Yep.
And then some of the more expensive cars that were quite expensive a few years ago are significantly more affordable. The average new car, whether it's electric or petrol in Australia, is $55K. And I think you're seeing a lot of electric cars that are now under that $55K. The secondary point I'd make is that the electric car discount has meant that we are coming to the end of the first phase of it. And a lot of people who purchased cars through that, those cars are now going into the secondhand market where the majority of Australians buy cars. So I would say that the market is going through a slight maturation where we're seeing more models come in, but we're also seeing the secondhand market increase. In terms of where that's up to, we're seeing that yesterday it was noted that the secondhand market sales in the month just gone increased by roughly 8%. So there is more supply coming on that level as well.
In terms of incentives, do you think there are enough incentives out there? Is the government, are the governments, the federal government and the state governments doing enough to increase that incentive to buy an EV?
Yeah, one of the biggest parts of the State of EVs report is we actually go out to government departments across all jurisdictions and say, please tell us what you're doing. We feel like we keep a pretty good tracker of what you're doing, but please tell us in case we've missed something. And then we assess that across a range of criteria, so passenger vehicles, commercial, infrastructure, as well as things like buses, for example. And we've got a EV policy scorecard in the document. Now, what you'll see when you open that up is that essentially the Commonwealth is leading the way. The Commonwealth gets an 8 out of 10 on that scorecard. Disappointingly, going to your question, the rest of the jurisdictions are not doing enough. And the truth in that is that all of them have pulled off incentives in the last 12 months. So we have a situation where the federal government has got the efficiency standards and electric car discount, but in our 3 levels of government in this country, the states and territories, unfortunately, are not doing as much as they need to be doing. And we do argue strongly that the pullback of those incentives was premature and we need to revisit those measures. Very happy to talk about some of those measures. The main point I'd make is that there is no one unicorn policy. We're trying to get the...
different people are incentivized by different things, right?
100%. And there's so many different types of a transport user, Some people want to use their car for X reason, somebody wants to use it for Y reason. And we also have to consider the commercial sector. So there's no one policy that would solve things. Some things would have a bigger impact, but we really do need federal, state and territory, and then local government to be working together in pushing the one direction rather than just the one tier.
Well, I was literally going to talk about the incentives at the moment as well, because you talk in the report about the FBT and the potential that it's under threat, and you talk about the estimation that it might be responsible for 1 in every 4 EVs sold in Australia. But there's also another chart, I don't have it in front of me, but there was another chart, I'm sure, in the State of EVs report by the Electric Vehicle Council that talked about New Zealand, and they had some great incentives, and you plot EV sales on this chart, and they're excellent, and then the incentives stop, and the sales stop as well. That's obviously the concern here, but how do you counter that with the idea that people say, well, if they need to be incentivized, why are we selling them? Like, why should the government be incentivizing people to get a new car when there might be a cheaper petrol car out there and people are wasting their money?
Yeah. So let me, for those listening along, the excellent graph that you pointed to is on page 20 of this year's report, and it shows that when a road user charge, a really badly implemented and badly designed road user charge was implemented in New Zealand, in the month of November 23, we saw new vehicle sales of electric cars being just a little over 45%. In the following quarter, in Feb, they were back down under 10%. So that's the effect of bad policy making when it comes to electric vehicle uptake. Please have a look at that graph. I think it tells really
I'm looking at it right now, as a matter of fact. Dramatic drop from November 2023 to February 2024.
And that's the kind of thing you're worried about, obviously, here, because we've got, obviously the FBT thing is great, and we hear it from listeners almost every single week. People talk about, the fringe benefit tax, the novated lease, whatever it might be. There's reasons people make these decisions. And then let's talk about the road user charge, because you mentioned that as being poorly implemented in New Zealand. But look, I have a weirdly strong view that we need a road user charge, because I look at it from a financial perspective and I go, how's the government going to replace the $20 billion in fuel excise if we do go fully electric? So I think we need to have a plan to work towards that point. That might be 15, 20 years away, but if we don't start talking about it now, and my belief, again, to put it on the record, is everyone, scrap the FB,
we all use the road.
Scrap the fuel excise and charge every single car on the road a road user tax. Where are we at today with the road usage charge for electric vehicles, if not all vehicles? Yeah.
So if you give me the opportunity, I do want to point out some of the, I think, misconceptions in this conversation about road user charging. So some of the hard facts are these. In financial year 2015, the federal government collected roughly $14 billion of fuel tax excise, right? Wow. Yep. That has risen dramatically in the last 10 years. The federal government in the last financial year collected close to $24 billion. That's an increase in $9 billion. Now, why have we not seen that in the way of gold plating our roads, hopefully? It's because a large part of that increase has gone to off-road diesel vehicles through fuel tax credits. So I think when we look at the leakage from collection of fuel excise, we do need to be asking, within the concept of fairness, why is it when you, me, and the listeners to this podcast are paying for fuel excise at the Bowser when they might be driving a petrol car, but it's actually going to the benefit of people who aren't using the road as well, right? Yeah. That's the first point I make. The second point I make is a lot of the big petrol cars that do damage to our roads, that weigh over 3.5 tons, they don't even pay the luxury car tax, even though they're eligible for it. So this is the type of leakage that we need to be asking questions of when it comes to the maintenance of our roads. And we obviously know that fuel excise is consolidated revenue that goes towards health, hospital, and schools. So I'd love to see that $9 billion going back towards things that benefit the community, rather than fuel tax credits for polluting vehicles used by minors. That's the first point. The second thing, I do agree with you. I think in the future, the nirvana is that Australia is able to secure our economy by having a close to electrified fleet in 2035, and that we have a well-designed road user charge for all vehicles. What we do need to focus on, though, is designing one that does not create the type of outcome that happened in New Zealand. And we are very closely working with the federal government and the state and territories to make sure that at the bureaucratic and the political level, that we design one that encourages the uptake of EVs. The EVC was very closely involved in the engagements leading up to the Council of Ministers communique a couple of weeks ago, which was really important because it put a red line around the development of a road user charge. It crucially, in the very first paragraph, said any development of a road user charge must not deter the uptake of EVs. And so that's our North Star. That is the North Star we must be working towards. And we will continue to work closely with this federal government, which is a supporter of this industry, to develop a well-designed, fiscally responsible road user charge that helps the uptake of EVs in the national interest.
These are very positive figures in the report. Looking into the crystal ball, can you see that these figures, will we sustain these into the future? Is it just going to get even better, or are we going to plateau? Well, what's your prediction?
I was listening to, I've recently been listening to Sapiens on Spotify, the audiobook, and one of the points I took out from it was that nothing is predetermined when it comes to technological transformation or human history. It's a bit of a high level point to make to your very direct question, but I think what I'm trying to say is that nothing in terms of the transition away from coal or petrol is predetermined. We need to fight for every small step, like we did with the vehicle efficiency standards and with the FBT. So I think in terms of where we go from here, it really comes down to the listeners on this podcast. It comes down to organizations like ours and the fantastic work you guys do to speak about the value of electrifying transport and how it can cut people's transport costs, but also make our country less focused on importing oil and less dependent on foreign oil producers, but also creating a local jobs industry around battery manufacturing and battery recycling. There's a whole suite of benefits to electrification. And until we do that opportunity, we'll do that task of speaking to our neighbours, speaking to our families, and speaking to the general community about it, we won't be able to get there. So I'm really optimistic because I think there's just so much good to come out of the EV industry and so much riding on it. But it does require everyone, listening to this podcast and in our wider communities to do that work.
If you look at sales of purely electric vehicles, so BEVs, battery electric vehicles as you refer to them, so we're talking about no petrol, just electric for the listener. In 2022, the numbers of sales were far lower, like I'm talking less than 4%, and they jumped so dramatically in 2023 to over 7%. What is it that's going to get us the next big jump? Because I think BEV sales have just grown gradually, whereas the plug-in hybrids have taken a big share of the load of the numbers that you're able to share. But I feel like we need another big jump there if we're going to hit these goals and targets. Do you think, and I'm just going to project myself here, but I think it's about price. I think it's almost entirely about price. We've got great news from BYD, who frankly lead the market here in every sense. They're going to bring the Atto 1 here. So that's got to be it's going to be a $25,000 car probably, maybe even less. Is that what we need, more at the bottom end, or is there just more volume, more cars, more manufacturers that we need to really take that BEV number, frankly, past 15%?
Yeah, I would love to see in the next year that we're reporting back to you that EV sales cumulatively are past the low teens into the high teens. That's kind of the short-term goal that we'd have. And in terms of how we get there, we really hope that battery electric vehicles are leading that charge because they're ultimately the best type of EV to drive. How are we going to get there? NVES will definitely be part of it because we're seeing every week, as you mentioned, a new type of EV enter the market and provide more competition, provide more opportunities for different types of Australians to experience the value. Nonetheless, I do think charging infrastructure is a large part of this, and developing a national charging roadmap and coming up with a model of funding charging infrastructure that allows for private operators, governments, and the community to have confidence when they get out and about. That will be, I think, one of the key steps to addressing the charger anxiety that perhaps exists in the community. Much broader than that, I think there's a couple of other things that we could be doing in the immediate term. First of all, we have been speaking about government messaging to the community about banning the registration of petrol and diesel cars after 2035. So I want to be really careful here. What we're suggesting is after 2035, you should not be able to register a new petrol car. Right. So if you bought today, you've got time, you can use it, and you can use it after 2035. But what we need to do is explain to the community about the need to electrify and then give them 10 years to find the right car for them when they next need to buy a car, when they next need to buy a used car, and make the right choice. So I think it's a range of immediate measures, such as retaining the electric car discount, designing a good road user charge policy, but also messaging to the community about where we're trying to go as a country.
Big bold plan, 2035. That'll rattle some feathers.
It is in line with the UK and France. These are countries that we compare ourselves with. Okay. We are OECD countries like these countries, and we work with them on issues like this. So it's entirely consistent with our sister countries.
Aman, really insightful stuff. You know this stuff like the back of your hand, obviously, because we're just throwing stuff at you here without any preempting, and you know it all. So, mate, that's obviously why you're in charge of the policy team at the Electric Vehicle Council. Mate, great work on the report. It is genuinely impressive. Yeah. As you say, it's actually a really great compendium for people who are interested in the space. And we have a lot of listeners who don't have an EV. They're thinking about it. They're worried about it. They're interested in it, whatever it is. Yeah. What an unbelievable thing to digest. Maybe maybe over a cold one on the weekend, but 100 pages of and as you said, it's not just 100 pages of data and graphs. It's actually cars. It's listing the cars that you can buy and all those kind of things. So it's really, really valuable information, and it's a year-on-year thing. And we will challenge and follow the information year on year as you bring it out, mate. So really appreciate you joining us and sharing the details with us today.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you very much, Alan. Thank you for the opportunity. For those who don't have that much time, there is a 2-page fact sheet on our website.
Oh, now you tell us, mate. Now you tell us.
I want to give you all the information.
You read all those pages before.
Just search for the Electric Vehicle Council and you'll find it all. Aman, thanks for your time.
Thank you, boys. Thanks,
you, mate.
That's great information. Loved talking to Aman there. If you want to find out more, the electricvehiclecouncil.com.au, and as you said, there is a 2-page.
There is a 2-page
that would have been
summary, But now you tell us,
I wasted 100 pages of paper printing that thing out.
Pages, yes.
Yeah, as Stephen said, I could have printed just the pages I wanted, but that's
quite
okay.
Thorough, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's
I'll teach you how to do that.
It's not a good idea, really, is it? When you're trying to talk about saving the planet with electric cars, and I'm just
you just killed the forest.
Anyway, no, but it is genuinely a great report. It is genuinely a great insight. If you are in the market for EVs,
it's good.
It'll help you with information for those conversations you're having with people as well. So, great to hear from him, and we'll talk to Julie Delvecchio, the boss of the EV Council, soon as well. I think we need to talk a little bit more about the lobbying side of the EV Council and where they're going with. So the road usage charge, which is something we talked to Aman about a little bit, the new vehicle emissions standard, and just generally what the industry needs to do.
What incentives that can be offered,
And I think just generally the industry and what they need to do to help this market, because we hear so many weird kind of negative things from dealership level and stuff.
Yeah. And also, as Aman said, in the media too, it's reported pretty narky reporting.
Yeah, and the EV Council is small. They don't have funding from all of the manufacturers. Yeah. So it's very hard to get, representation. So we will catch up with Julie in the time ahead. But until then, we have lots more to get through here on future weeks of the Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars. Stephen, why don't we do it all again next week?
I'll be right here.
Next week, we'll talk about my trip to Ferrari, and we'll have a chat with Gian Maria Fulgenzi, who is the Chief Product Development Officer.
I'll take your
Ferrari.
word for it.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. See you then, mate.
Ciao.